Hey there, it's Matthew Hill with Carol Ponton again, answering some live questions about your VA claims. We're excited to have you guys here, excited to hopefully give you some help to going forward. As I said the last couple of times, we are going to start with questions from our community page. You know, I appreciate that we don't get all the questions answered every time, but we're looking at ones on here that mostly that have been voted up by other vets, and then also that just kind of jump out to us. Okay, the first one I'll read because it was voted so highly. David Mead, I'd like to thank you at Hill and Ponton for the time you set out in these videos to disabled vets like me. They've made a big difference in my disability rating and how to deal with VA C&P exams and everything. I went from 10 to 30 and now I'm at 90, closing in on a Scheduler 100, which I'm confident I'll get. That's great to hear, David.
That is.
And he says, one thing I'd like to tell you vets trying to establish VA disability ratings is it's much easier to do by using only VA docs, unless you've been denied anyone outside opinion. Remember, Hill and Ponton says the VA has a duty to assist, so let them. Well, thank you, David, for that. And we're glad to see that you're able to get those benefits you deserve. Ken Hammond says, for supplemental claims, can you piecemeal each denied decision, or do you have to submit it all at once? Carol, why don't you take this one?
I didn't quite understand what you're saying. We have a supplemental claim. Can you piecemeal what?
Each denied decision, or do you have to submit it all at once? So I guess what he's saying is, can you say, all right, I've got this claim for migraines, I've got a claim for a knee, a claim for my back. Can you submit those one at a time, or do you submit them all together?
I submit them all together.
Okay.
How about you?
I would too, and that's purely an effective date thing for me. I don't.
Me too.
I want you to get the most benefits early as possible. You might have to submit evidence for each one. I think a statement by you specifically outlining what happened in service or what's going on now is enough to start the process. It's probably not enough to win it, but it's enough to start it. So I would do that.
And I have to say, I don't understand this concept of filing a claim, and when I win that, then I'll file another claim, because all you're doing is hurting yourself. You're cutting off how much you can get in the way of past due benefits. So I really don't understand where that thinking comes from, and I would highly discourage it. It does not help you.
Okay, what was the other one I saw? This is an interesting one from DJ Rock. Does the Bradley v. Peake case, and this is the Veterans Court, of 2008 open the door for re-adjudication of special monthly compensation cases based on TDIU prior to 2008 decision? Could a 2003 rating be re-adjudicated based on Bradley v. Peake ruling? So let me back up. The Bradley v. Peake, it used to be to get special monthly compensation, they called it homebound or SMC-S. You had to have one disability at 100% and then other disabilities that combined to 60%. After this decision, the decision found that if a veteran has IU based on one disability, so the most common one we see is a vet who has 70% PTSD and they get unemployability from that. If a veteran has that combination and then also has 60% based on other disabilities, then they would be entitled to SMC-S, which is a bump up from 100%. And it bumps it up like $300-400 a month. So the question is, the decision was in 2008. Can you go back farther? My answer would be yes, because it's case law interpreting a statute and a regulation, and therefore you would be able to take that back farther. However, you've got to show that prior unemployability was based on one disability, not a multitude of disabilities. So that's what I would look at and show. You can go back when you get SMC-S on this. Special monthly compensation is considered an inherent claim. So it's always there. Okay. So if you're eligible for it and they don't give it to you, well, it's still there. You don't have to claim it in and of itself.
So technically you don't have to claim it, but with the VA, if you don't claim it, they're usually not going to give it to you. So you always want to claim it. But it's like Matt said, when you file a claim, you're filing for the highest. The VA considers it that you're filing for the highest benefits you're entitled to. And that would include SMC at times. So yes, it was part of the claim.
Okay. let's see, the next one is BBA delaying regular claims in order to process hardship claims?
No, the problem is unfortunately we have been telling y'all the BBA is so overwhelmed that they have decided that they're going to do all of the legacy. Those are the old cases. They're under what they call the AMA now. Before, I forget how many years ago, it was the legacy. So they want to get all the legacy claims done. And that's going to take them, they say, till 2023. So until that time, they are using 80% of their resources to do legacy claims. So that means the remaining 20 are what they're using for AMA. And unfortunately, that means most of the hardship elderly are going to be done right away. And the others are going to sit there. And they've gotten more people. They're doing the best they can. But when we were there last, the judge said, I can't even give you a time frame for when we're going to get to the AMA cases that are not hardship or elderly. And she's a great judge. And I think she always tries to let us know what's going on. And that's the first time she's told us that. She has to work with the resources she has. And she's letting us know with those resources, we're looking at 2023 before we start moving the AMA cases. So if you have a hardship, if you are Purple Heart, if you are 75 or older, let the VA know, BVA know, because they will move you up and they will decide those cases. And remember, there is now a form if you want your case expedited at the regional office. So I think the person that talked about using VA forms is absolutely right. The VA understands what to do when they get a form. When they get a non-form, they don't know what to do with it. And it comes into, they store it wrong, they name it wrong. And so the best thing you can do is always try and use their forms. Thank you for reminding us of that.
All right. William Wheeler, it's a longer one. I'm a Vietnam vet and a Gulf War vet, 80% combined rating. Been out of work for 2 years. I did not know anything about TDIU until now. Will the effective date be that I file? Okay, let's answer that one first. The easy answer is whenever you became 80% and weren't working, if that is under the current claim stream, like you just got that 80% a little while ago, then you should be eligible to go back to the date you filed for and won that 80%. If that 80% was awarded on a decision that is over a year old, it's a lot harder to do that now. I don't think you'd be able to get it, but hopefully you're still within the year period.
It's harder, but you should argue that.
Yeah, you should argue it, but
it's still supposed to give you, I mean, this new AMA, it's like the VA is trying to rewrite all the laws. And as we just said, when you apply for something, you're applying for the highest rating you're entitled to. So if you have an 80% and you're not working, that should bring up unemployability to the VA itself. And so you want to argue that. The current AMA system is trying to say, no, you had to file a claim and it starts with that. But the law has not been decided on that. And I wouldn't give that up. And I'm winning a lot of those cases. It's undecided. And so a lot of these people at the VA are going to give you that onset date. So don't not try it.
William says, I'm 71-year-old. I'm more worried about my wife than myself. If I die from one of these presumptive diseases, will my wife get DIC, dependency and indemnity compensation? Or will the disease have to be claimed with the VA before I die? Well, every disease has to be claimed. Bottom line, if I die from that presumption and the claim had not been submitted to the VA, will my spouse be denied DIC because it was not claimed before my death? If so, then I should not stop claiming if I reach 100% for TDIU. So let's break that down. If you have a presumptive disability, even if you haven't claimed it and you die of that, then your wife would be entitled to DIC benefits. Okay, that's a straightforward case. And that it could be the cause of death or a primary contributing cause of death. It could be primary cause of death or a contributing cause of death. Okay, so you would be covered there if you haven't claimed a heart failure and you were in Vietnam and then you die of a heart failure. Well, that's presumptively related, and they would grant her benefits even if you don't have benefits right now for it. So should I stop claiming if I reach 100%? Oh, that's Carol's favorite question. If you reach 100%, should you stop claiming for presumptives? I wouldn't stop claiming for presumptives. Those should just be given to you automatically. Carol,
I agree. If they're presumptives and you have them, go ahead and claim them. They may give you some SMC benefits that you're entitled to beyond 100%. Plus, it just makes it easier. Yes, if you die and you had not claimed them, then your widow can come in and argue that because they're presumptive. But you want to make it easier for her, just go ahead and do that now. And remembering, if you are 100% for 10 years, she automatically gets the benefits.
Let's do the last one here. Philip Sage, benefit of the doubt versus more likely than not. What is that, Carol?
They do not give. I have never seen the VA give the veteran the benefit of the doubt. This is their idea of the benefit of the doubt. If you have 5 people who say the veteran is service connected and 1 compensation and pension examiner saying no, they might give you the benefit of the doubt. But I would never try to win a claim by that. It just doesn't work. More likely than not is the key that you need to have experts say. It's more likely than not that this is service connected. That's the key language. It doesn't have anything to do with the benefit of the doubt.
I agree. All right, we're going to switch to the live questions here. We got the Banks Homestead. Welcome back. If I apply for hardship with the BVA, how long does it usually take to get a video hearing?
That's hard. It's funny. Some I'll get within 2 or 3 months, and some are still sitting after 4 or 5. They have so many hardships that it depends on the judge, how many people he has in front of you that are hardship. It really is hard to give an answer.
But he's asking for getting to the head of the line for a hearing, not getting a decision. So what would you do?
For a hearing? Oh, please don't ask for a hearing. I
agree. If you have a hardship, whatever you want to say at the hearing, I would submit in writing, and I would ask for the hearing to be canceled, and then just say, hey, submit what I have, because you're asking for 2 things: hardship advance for the hearing. Once that's decided, you're not going to get a decision right away. There's plenty of people on here who will tell you that. You have a hearing and you're thinking, my case should be decided within the next month. It could be 6 months, a year. Okay, so you got to ask for advance to get a hearing and advance on the docket to get a decision. And to me, you can take care of one step by getting rid of the hearing, putting your evidence in, and just saying, make this decision. I need it now. But we both feel strongly about that.
I feel strongly too. The chief judge told us, she begged us, she said, please don't ask for a hearing unless you have to, because it's just going to delay your case. And she's absolutely right. With Matt, there's nothing, believe me, nothing that you can do at the hearing, unless they say you're not missing a limb and you're missing a limb and you can show them that you can't do in writing.
Okay. Kenneth Dennis, I filed for TDIU back in October, and they have been in decision stage since December 20th. Is that normal? So yes. Normal is all over the place at this moment. So Glenn Gold.
I actually communicated with Tom Murphy, who is the acting head of benefits this week. And he was telling me that they have more cases with compensation and pension done waiting for a decision than they ever had. And one of the reasons for the backlog is remember the Blue Water cases, the veterans who initially were not considered to be in Vietnam. Well, now all of these are considered to be in Vietnam, and the VA is now going back through those cases, the Vietnam Agent Orange exposure cases, and making sure that veterans were given benefits back when they were first entitled to them. So this is taking an enormous amount of their resources, and that's one of the reasons that they're backed up on the decisions. I thought that was, and they are doing that. I'm seeing that. So that makes me understand why they're behind. But no, if you applied in October, or December, you got a while.
Glenn Gold, glad that you made it this week. Is it bold move to tell the VA what you should be rated at, or should you keep focused on the symptoms as they relate to the ratings? We always tell them what they should be rated at. We want to make it clear, and we want to hand it to them on a nice platter. And by that, what I mean is we take the symptoms and say, here's the major problems the veteran's having, and then go to the diagnostic code, which we always talk about here, and say, here's where this lies in the diagnostic code. And this is why you should be granting me benefits at this rate. And then one thing I will say on that, if you meet a lot of criteria for the 50% rating, but then you meet some of the criteria for the 70% rating, you want to argue that higher rating. Just because you don't meet everything doesn't mean you shouldn't get that benefit. Harry 46383. Does the VA have to acknowledge and abide by a Walsh v. Wiki decision? The VA denied my secondary claims for OSA and blood pressure using weight as an intermediate step. VA denied my claims. Good case for HLR. I think, Harry, if you're saying they denied it because you're obese, the frontline adjudicators are just going to deny that right out of the pocket. And I might be missing this, but the Walsh case is the one I thought that said that obesity is a service-connected disability, but it in and of itself cannot generate a rating. What you've shown here is that you said because of that, you have sleep apnea and blood pressure problems. So I would appeal that and say, look, I'm not saying that my obesity in and of itself should be rated. I'm saying my obesity is related to service, and the problems I have secondary to that should be rated.
And you want to put in as much in the way of medical treatises, medical evidence as you can. As the VA does not often pay attention to the case law. The VA has their own book of what they will and will not approve, and that's it. And I have given up arguing case law at them because they don't care and they don't want to hear about it. You're much better arguing like Matt said, this is caused this, here are the medical records that show it, and here are the medical treatises that support this. That's what you want. That's the things that they look at. Having said that, it's going to be really hard to win at the regional office. Those are cases you're winning at the BVA. So,
and he can put the case law in at the BVA.
Yes, I'd absolutely do that at the BVA.
Yeah. Okay. Tiaza Dobbs, my husband is 61, worked same job in the emergency department for 22 years. Accident crushed his right leg and knee, more meniscus tears after surgery. Body cast and rehab, use a cane now. Could he win 41 years job? Ma'am, I don't know if this is a service related question. It didn't seem like he'd be in the emergency department. Can you give us that information? Was this 22 years in the emergency department in the military? If it was, the answer is yes, he should. All of those things would be related. So just let us know that. But if it's another type of law, that's outside of the scope of what we're talking about on this channel here. Michael Goins, status post stem cell transplant for lymphoma. Required family at home prior to procedure and for a year recovery. Am I eligible for SMC aid and attendance or housebound if requirement is met? Yes, you are. I mean, that's basically, you'd want to go for aid and attendance, which is a higher one, but that's, what it's meant for, frankly.
Exactly.
Gregory, thanks for everything. Hill and Ponton, band of brothers and sisters. US. All right. Let's see. Michael, hey guys, I was informed by VES, which is a C&P company. They say that I have an appointment for a peripheral nerve condition that I filed for, as well as a psychological evaluation, that I have no idea what this is for. Any advice? So I'm just trying to determine this, Michael. It looks like you're saying you filed for the psych condition. I guess I don't understand what you're saying. I have an appointment for a peripheral that I filed, as well as, okay, so I'm not quite understanding. It sounds like you do have one for your peripheral nerve condition that you filed for. So that makes sense that you'd be going to a C&P exam for that. As far as the psych exam, I don't know why they would send you to that other than if you're rated, they want to check your rating. So, possible reduction, possible increase. If you're not rated, that just sounds like a screw up, which they're more than capable of doing. St. Lou, don't forget to hit the like button. These videos help us return. Thank you.
Thank
St.
you
Lou.
very much.
There's a button on here somewhere. It's a like button. Damian Wallace, I just want to say thank you to all. I just became P&T. The education you provide in these live streams is information and they work. Please, that's wonderful to see. Thank you, Damien, for hearing that. I'm glad it made my day. Comwell, welcome back. I read my TDI exam and the doc put mild for every facet, but one where it's 40. I gave examples of my impaired judgment that matched with severe. The only note she wrote was pulls out when driving. So this is where Comwell, if you haven't gotten a decision yet, I would write and get in a statement from you ASAP. And what that means is that you just write a statement saying, hey, I told the examiner this. The examiner wrote that. I don't understand why that this was not noted, because this is one of my most serious problems. And it was as if she totally ignored me. I would get that in there before the decision is made, because once that decision is made, if that evidence is in there, then you have a choice. You can go to higher level review where no more evidence can be put in, or you can go to supplemental claim and put in more evidence. If I were you, I'd want to be in the position where I had my rebuttal in there. Even if they deny it or don't give you the proper rating, you can immediately go to higher level review and say they ignored the most important part here. Thoughts, Carol? Or
Exactly. And I'd go into the CAR program. You want to get it in with 30 days. And, hopefully that they will, the problem is they're probably going to send you out for another exam, but hopefully that person, and you might tell that person, the reason I'm here for another exam is because the other examiner did not put down what I told them. This is what I'm saying, and I expect to see that in your report.
I'd leave the last part out. No need to be chippy. We're just all trying to get it right. First person.
Well, I bring a witness too.
Yeah, I agree on the witness.
Yeah.
All right, Tara, does SMC delay award of other contingents? No. Roy, I want to become a private VSO. Are there any courses for that? So what you would want to become is what's called an accredited agent. You can look on the VA's website and it'll talk you through that. You have to get a bunch of education to do it. We belong to the National Organization of Veterans Advocates, and we do a lot of teaching. Carol and I do teaching to other attorneys and agents. And so I would look that up. That's called vetadvocates.org. And they have two in-person seminars a year, and then they have a lot of online seminars. And I believe one of those is a 3-part course on the basics. So that's what you'd want to go about doing. Otherwise, the first thing to do is to go into their website and start the process of getting accredited. I will tell you, we have people working for us right now who have done everything, all the background checks, all the, they actually took the test, and they've been waiting for 2 years. The VA is dragging its feet on accredited agents, and I have no understanding why, because vets need as much help as they can get. So I kind of vomited an answer there, but hopefully some of that gets you in the right direction.
I want to add something. We do have accredited agents. Brenda that works with me is one, and she's excellent. And her complaint about she passed the test with no problem, but she said, I didn't really learn what I needed to learn about veterans law as far as disability at all. I learned about housing and mortgages and a lot of things that don't apply to what we do. So if what you really want to do is help veterans get their benefits, NOVA, the organization that Matt just told you about, is excellent. These are people, this is all we do. We come twice a year. We get Tom Murphy, who's the head of benefits. We get the chief judge to come so that we really get the information about what's going on. And you have to have that because this is so specialized and it changes day to day, the law does. Yeah. So if you really want to learn about it, and the NOVA seminar that's coming up next month in March is also by Zoom. So if you can't go there, it's in Arizona, you can at least do it by Zoom.
All right. Railroader retired. Welcome back. Suffered from anxiety. I suffer from anxiety. I'm rated for tinnitus and sleep apnea. What would be the better route for me to do secondary to try to achieve my connection with anxiety? Tinnitus or sleep apnea? I would say, looking at that, what are your primary symptoms? I mean, is it drowsiness or inability to focus because you can't sleep and get through the day? Tinnitus would be more the ringing in your ears is so loud and frankly painful that it just isolates you and you don't want to be around people essentially or any kind of noise emitting thing. So I think that just depends on what it is, but I would put both forward. I would say I have I have a mental health condition and I believe it's secondary to my service conditions. Carol, your thoughts?
Right answer, Matt.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Don't
All
get
right.
used to it.
Commonwealth, PCP refused to check yes for my requires nursing care for my form on aid and attendance. She even stated that she wouldn't do that for a 90-year-old. Do I need this form for SMCT? If you need aid and attendance there. This is why I'm hesitant to use VA treating doctors. Either they don't understand what they're doing, or sometimes they're flat out unfavorable. This to me is flat out unfavorable. So maybe let's give her the benefit of the doubt. She was confused in that she wouldn't put that down for a 90-year-old because maybe they wouldn't want to go into a nursing home. I don't know. But yeah, you need something that shows that you need aid and attendance. If this isn't going to work, you still have the option of C&P exam. With that, I'd get your statement, I'd get whoever's treating you statement, I'd get whatever other witnesses are, all talking about how you go through your day to day. And if you didn't have somebody helping you, what that might look like.
You also may want to get another treating person. I would, because this person obviously doesn't get it. They don't understand what's going on with you, and you need somebody who does that.
All right. No life and noble, I'm just going to screw that up. We're just going to start with no life. What's the most common condition linking sleep apnea by the VA?
Mental. I would say mental.
What are the other ones we see? We see sometimes.
I got tons of them.
Sinusitis, rhinitis. Sometimes if you have throat problems, that can be, we see that too. Carlos G, how can I get sleep apnea secondary to ortho condition using overweight obesity as an intermediary? Would C&P do that, or would I have to get my own IMO?
So you're going to have somebody say that, some doctors say that. I would just think about all the problems that could cause sleep apnea, and I wouldn't just go with the obesity. I try to have anything that may be service connected that you can relate to that. Do you have mental? If you have orthopedic problems, it seems like you might have mental, because that's got the pain's got to cause anxiety, depression. So I would, like Matt says, if you've got service connected problems, use them. I'd use all of them.
Yeah, and I would say, piggybacking on that, as far as ortho condition, does that in and of itself wake you up at night? Do you have pain because of that? Do you roll over and just wake up all of a sudden, or is it
insomnia,
aching pain? That could cause it even without the obesity. But yeah. You're going to have to go to a C&P examiner. So I'd go to them first. And if they get it right, do the obesity or whatever, great. If they don't, then think about how, or what kind of IMO you want to get from there. Meathead had to go to emergency twice for headaches due to epidural puncture or service connected back injections. Should I file for headaches? Yeah. If you were in service and you had to get epidurals, I definitely would.
If they are ongoing because of treatment for a service-connected problem, then definitely you should apply for those.
Yeah,
if you've only had headaches twice and they've gone away, then that's not worth it. It has to be a current ongoing problem.
Carlos G, can I get toenail fungus service-connected?
If you have diabetes, if you were in the jungle in Vietnam or Iraq, you need to show why is it service-connected. But yes, you definitely
can. Joe Bowden, thanks for changing your format so we could hear you better. Well, I'm sorry, Joe, that I know we're not the best at this, and there's a lot cleaner productions out there, so I'm glad we're doing better. Demarius Gauss filed for a claim, welcome back, of ANA in 2014, but withdrawed it, was later approved for SMC-S in 2020. Should I file an appeal for the effective date back to 2014?
Did you withdraw it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so he filed for AMA, which is SMC-L. It's a higher,
right? And
then now he just was approved for SMC-S, which is a little bit lower. But that was in 2020. He was approved, and his date of entitlement he's looking for is 2014 when he filed for ANA. I don't know that you can do that if you explicitly withdrew a claim for ANA. Unfortunately, I think that's a dead claim.
And can I say something about that? I will see veterans file claims that they're entitled to. They appeal them, and all of a sudden they withdraw all of them and then go with another one that's new. Please don't do that. Because if you've withdrawn them, when you get to us, usually there's nothing we can do as far as going farther back. So if you legitimately have these problems, don't give them up. Make them deny you all the way. Get evidence to prove them, but please don't withdraw them. I don't know who's giving people this advice, but it is bad advice. Okay. Don't give up legitimate claims ever.
Legitimate. Yeah. Legitimate. I agree with legitimate.
Yeah. If it's not something that really should be service connected, you know what? Fine. But please don't give up legitimate ones. A lot of times I know that the VA will call you and say, hey, I'm going to give you 10% for your knee. Can we just withdraw all these other claims? And I don't know if people are so happy or they're intimidated. Oh, sure. I don't know who's telling you this, but the answer is no.
Not yet. Andrea, I'm 70% filed for IU. Went to all the exams second time. Now they're wanting me to go get old employer fill out form. Okay, that's you don't need to worry about that. That's a formality. It's part of their, before they grant IU or address IU, they have to send it out. You have to send it out.
It's called a form 4192.
Yeah.
They ask you to help them. If you can't help them, let them do it.
And even if they can't get it, that's not a reason for denial. They just have to, it's pro forma. They just have to.
Yeah. By law, they have to ask. They wait 30 days. They ask again, 30 more days, and then they go with it.
James Elias, VA denied me TDIU because they said I could do sedentary work, but ignored insomnia and sleep apnea and mental effects. How can I win in HLR?
The best way to, HLR, I think, the HLR, you want to have a conference and talk to them about all the problems that you have. But the best way to win, which is not HLR, is to get a vocational report, to get a vocational expert to say you can't, because you'd be sleepy, you wouldn't be awake during the day, you couldn't concentrate. And I don't see the VA giving vocational reports. They give C&P exams, but they don't do vocational exams. And so you have something that they can't really contradict. So that's the best evidence ever.
If you want to win it in an HLR, this wouldn't be a win. This would be them redoing the C&P exam, is 38 CFR 4.16. That's the regulation for unemployability. 38 CFR 4.16. Nowhere in there does it say sedentary work. If you can do sedentary work, then you can still work. Okay. So I would say if you were looking to, make an argument HLR, you can't put in any more evidence, but you can say, look, this is not how they're supposed to judge me. It doesn't say if I can do sedentary work. It doesn't explain what sedentary work I could do, what I am qualified to do. So that's how you win it. But again, a win there is them sending it back and getting you another C&P exam versus what Carol's saying. You just go to supplemental lane, you get your own evidence through a vocational expert. I like that idea better. But if you're set on the HLR, that's what you'd be doing.
You can try that first. If you ask for a conference, it's going to be quick.
Ms. Stupinski, my husband died 5 years and the VA denied my claim. Okay, I don't see any follow-up on that, but here's what I would say. If you're looking to get ongoing benefits, we discussed this a little bit earlier, it's called DIC benefits, okay? And to show that, first of all, you got to show that something related, he's service-connected for something, or he should have been service-connected for something. So what that means is, even if he never applied for a thing in his life, okay, the easy one would be, let's say he's got Agent Orange, or he's exposed to Agent Orange. He dies of a heart attack. Well, even if he never applied for a heart problem before, you can apply and say this was caused by service, and then you get your benefits, okay? If he was service-connected for something, let's say he was service-connected for hypertension, and he died of a heart disease, okay? What you have to show is that his service-connected disability was the primary cause of death or a contributory cause of death, okay? In the first case, Agent Orange, his heart was the primary cause of death. In this case, it's a pretty, I'm not gonna say easy, but valid argument to say that the hypertension could cause the heart to weaken, and that could be a contributory cause of death. So that's what you need to look for. It's a little tricky, but if you gave us a few more facts, maybe we could narrow that down for you.
One thing I like to add, and this is what you get from going to NOVA, you learn things that you wouldn't learn otherwise. If the veteran died 5 years ago, say as the widow, you didn't file for VA benefits, and now you realize that you can file for VA benefits. If you filed for his Social Security benefits, That is an automatic application for his VA benefits. And they would have to pay you all the way back to when you file for those Social Security benefits. So make sure that you're aware of that, okay?
Randy Road, if I get 30% for my MG, gravis, yeah. Can I link it to service connection 40% rating for my bilateral Dovo beast to get 70% TDIU threshold? C&P examiner says vision caused by MG. Okay, so he's wanting to connect to one another. Unfortunately, Carol, do you know these diseases?
I didn't hear about the vision. Is the vision, what is the vision thing?
Bilateral Dovus, double vision, I guess. Sorry, he was a.
But that's related to the MG? He's
saying, can I get it linked to that? Can I get the MG linked to that? If I get 30%.
So what does he have for the vision now?
40%.
Okay.
Well, so 30% of 70% is 21%. So he's still at 60, right?
Yeah. So remember, if you have one, oh, that's what you're trying to do. I've never had that issue, so I really don't know if it's related.
If you can get the two linked, you'd be at 60, which is the minimum rating you need for IU of one disability, and they consider two linked disabilities to be one disability. So yes, I don't know the medicine behind that. So that would be to be determined there. Risky Ron in Mexico City, 5 days into a 6-month vacation, been redoing videos of Tenochtitlan, including from a hot air balloon. Vietnam vet, 74 with 32 years service. Wow, it's impressive, Ron. Risky Ron. Oh, and then he says, two AK-47 bullets in me and a titanium enhanced arm, but decided not to be disabled. Healthier now than I was 25. Wow. Well, good for you, Ron. That's great. I will say, you know, you're entitled to disability benefits because you fought for our country. So don't act. I mean, I wouldn't see that as a handout. You know, that's an entitlement. That's basically what the government said because of what you've done for our country, you're entitled to these benefits. But if that's not something you need, then that's that. But I hope you have a great time down in Mexico.
Yeah, I have often asked veterans, why did you wait so long to file, or why don't you want to file for more? And they will say, well, I think there are others who deserve it more than me. No, they don't. You served, you have a loss, you deserve that. The other thing they will say is, well, there might not be things this may take away from other veterans. They do not. Everybody has their own right. It does not diminish in any way what else somebody else can get. So please don't think that. And I want to go back to the question before. Yes, you ought to be able to get the double vision connected to the MG, and therefore it would be a 60% combined. Good way to go.
Okay, let's see. Hobie, can you get awarded carpal tunnel if you're already 20% radiculopathy for right arm, 20% for left arm? This would be secondary to a claim for degenerative joint disease or disc disease, in neck, awarded at 20%. No.
Yeah.
No.
Why are you saying no?
Because that's pyramiding. They look at the nerves in your arms.
On your arm?
I mean, if you can somehow distinguish whatever radiculopathy he has. I mean, if it's just in his shoulder and it stops there, and then he has a separate thing, then that's it. But
right. That's what I was thinking.
One nerve per arm.
So you have to show it's separate from what you've already been rated for.
Yeah.
But if you can, yes.
Sergeant King, I was denied PTSD back in, let's see, when was this? 10/21. I went to my private doctor, got diagnosed, and now the VA wants me to take a C&T exam by QTC. Is this normal? Of course it is. They're going to say, oh, look at this. You have new evidence. That's wonderful. It's enough. It's just enough to open your claim back up, which is a bunch of nonsense. But the fact that you have it and it's positive and it's in there, hopefully it's more thorough and detailed, and that the doctor listened to you and hopefully put that down. And that even if you have to go back to an exam and it's not positive, you have the better evidence on there. One Chimp Bobo, will selling stock affect my TDIU?
Not unless you're a stockbroker.
What she means by that is that's passive income. So if you sell stock, if you sell a house, if you rent a house, any of that stuff, you're not actively working. You're not putting in 40 hours a week to do it. That's passive income, and that will not count. So let's see, Comwell, last week I misspoke. During my cognitive disorder C&P exam, the examiner decided to reevaluate my PTSD. I read the report, but can they do this without my consent or knowledge?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can. And again, this would be something you need to rebut if they did not do it right. Cherokee, after 42 years, I filed for plus plantus and won 50% plus ankle for 10%. Both ankles got 10% for a total of 70%. Should I file IU? I'm only working part-time, caring for a mentally disabled family member. Yes, you should. File it right away. All right. Michael, grateful for your guidance and counsel. I'll hit the like button. God bless Canada and the truckers. And the truckers. That's great. All right. Thank you for helping. Thank you, Goldness. G-Man, I had a severe ankle sprain in OEF, was given a line of duty and had an injury from the VA, but denied due to the sprain I had the year prior to the A&G duty for 2 weeks as a part of a joint task force in Panama. Okay, ankle sprain in OEF, you had a line of duty showing that it was, but denied due to sprain I had prior year. So they're saying your disability pre-existed. And they're saying that your disability pre-existed because of an injury you had in the Guard, National Guard, as part of 2 weeks. Well, that injury you had in the Guard, you were called up for active duty for 2 weeks. So, six half dozen the other, both of those are incidents in service for which you could be compensated.
They're both active duty. So you definitely want a higher level review on this to make sure the person knows, and make sure that your dates of active duty are in there so you can point that out to the rater to show I was active duty at the time of this 2 week sprain.
Okay, Comwell again, talking about TBIs. Read my C&P exams and migraine should be rated 50. TBI was service connected, but not able to differentiate from PTSD. Since my TBI is most likely to be 0, should I put in a statement? Oh, yes, you should definitely put in a statement. Again, go back to the diagnostic codes, look at the TBI. They're different codes. They overlap some, but you can have very distinct problems with both. Okay, so look at the PTSD ones, look at the TBI, and you want to make sure that they definitely make sure that they're rating everything they should be on that. That is the trick du jour I'm seeing is the combination of PTSD and TBI. And I think that's awful because both of those are typically severe and they should be awarded high ratings. What if a veteran is rated 50% for sleep apnea, can't get used to CPAP given from VA? I've had a couple of these cases and they're interesting. If you're asking about your rating and whether you're worried about your rating 50%, it's not, the diagnostic code does not state if you use the CPAP. It states if you have to be prescribed a CPAP. Okay. So you've been prescribed one and it's just not working. So those are two different things. You'd want to obviously speak to any C&P examiner you saw and say, look, I've tried this. This is why I cannot use it. I tried another one. This is why I couldn't use that. And, go from there.
But the VA does not seem to recognize that. They are constantly denying that rating if you're not using it. So you're going to have to appeal that. You have to point out what the rating actually says.
Yeah. Okay. Hobie awarded radiculopathy at 20% right arm, 20% left arm. Let me see this. 20% right arm, 20% left arm, 20% right leg, 10% right leg. I filed for bilateral factor and they scheduled another C&P exam. Is that normal? VA listed it as an increase request. Awarded radiculopathy last month. Okay, so first of all, you want to order a full copy of your rating decision, which includes your code sheet. Your code sheet is basically, it's a map of what's going on in all your claims, but it'll tell you what you're service connected for each one. And then at the end, it'll actually list your bilateral factor. You don't have to apply for your bilateral factor. I mean, it's very rare. I mean, I think I've seen it once in 15 years where they screwed that up, which is, it's pretty rare. But I would order that. If you're, it's, I can't speak to whether it's normal if they see that as an increased rating request or not. I mean, it's just kind of VA being the VA. So Joe Hilo X, I have 0% service connection for left hearing loss in 2011. I recently had a hearing test with the following: right 500 hertz over 80, 1,000 over 80, 2,000 over 95, 4,000 over NR. Left 50 over 80, 1,000 over 90, 2,000 over 100, 4,000 over 100 claim. Okay.
Really important is what's the speech.
Well, I'd also say, I don't quite understand what you mean by claim. If you're talking about a claim for increase in left hearing, okay, but you really need to get the right service connected as well. Carol, isn't it, you can be almost deaf in one ear, and if the other ear's not service connected, it's like a 10% rating or something?
10% rating. You can be totally deaf in one ear and have a problem with the other ear, and it's still 10%. But then after that, it goes up. But that shows you how hard it is to get a really good rating for hearing loss. But it sounds like you might. But what they really look at is the speech recognition. That's a separate number that's like 0 to 100%. So just one number for each ear. So that's really, really key to establishing what your rating should be.
Renee, is pitting edema VA rated? Pitting edema.
No, but it has to be part of something else that's going on. Is it part of a heart problem? I mean, that you need to connect it to what a problem in your body, not just the edema. Lung problem.
And I would say that I guess to add to that would be if you're it's not related to anything else, you can always try what's called a analogous rating, meaning you look for something in the rating code that would be similar to that and try to rate it there after you've shown it's related service and this is a diagnosis. But
for your own health, you really need to know what's causing that. That's not a good thing to have. Something is causing that in your body, and your doctor should be able to tell you what's related to. I've seldom seen, I can't remember seeing it without it being caused by something that's the real diagnosis.
Goldness. This is John Gold. Switching up your name on us, John. What are the qualifications for SMC in attendance, and how long does it take to get an answer once HLR sends back to regional office?
Once HLR sends it back.
So like he had an HLR decision, and the decision, I guess, agreed with him that it wasn't done correctly below.
Oh, so in other words, another exam.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, what are the qualifications, Carol?
Well, you have to show that because of a service-connected problem, you need help with the activities of daily living that you didn't need before. And so say you have PTSD, so you can't leave the house. You can't deal with anybody. You forget your medicines. You forget to go to the doctor. You can't drive because you get so angry. So you have to have somebody else help you. Or say you have a back problem. You can't bend over and put your shoes or your socks on. You have difficulty putting pants on. You can't stand in the shower because you get weak. Those are the kind of things that you need to show you need help with. And I will tell you, for some reason, getting aid in attendance lately has become a real problem. I'm seeing a lot of BVA decisions denying those. So I don't know if they're trying to change what their evaluations need to show. But if you have those problems, you are entitled to aid in attendance. But I see a lot of the decisions saying you're not blind, you're not totally deaf, a lot of things that don't really apply. You just have to show that there are a significant number of activities of daily living you cannot do anymore because of a service-connected problem. That's all you have to show. So if your decision is denying you because you're not blind or you're not deaf or something like that, you need to show that this is not what the rating says. The rating says this, and this is what I have.
I agree. And what I'd add to that is you're going to need a medical opinion on any of these, but this is an area where if you get quality statements from you, whoever's helping you, again, if it's multiple people helping you, it's a visitor that comes into your house weekly, they have to address that. A lot of times, like we discussed here before, the C&P examiner will just blow off a statement you say. You got to appeal it. But at some point, they have to address that. So it's like Carol said, once you get to the BVA, they understand the law. Although we're starting to get concerned that they're missing concepts like this. But if you lay all that out and you say, this is what my day looks like, they have to either find you, to be lying, or just whatever you said doesn't meet the threshold. But if you talk about what Carol's talking about, as far as needing somebody just to get in and out of the bathroom, to get out of bed, to feed you, those are all big things that how can the VA say, no, you're lying, or no, that's not what you're doing? And so strong statements in this realm with the aid and attendance are key, okay? Because you might get bad C&P exams, but if you have those statements in there, you keep fighting, you should hopefully finally get this awarded, because they can't really just disregard that. They're not supposed to. But even if they do, you should win on any appeal going up.
And the statements, like you said, Matt, from witnesses, those are key. If they talk about all the things they do for you, how is somebody that's saying, no, they don't do it for you? How can they disregard that when you get to the board? And that's really important. If you have caregiver, if you're, I find a lot of veterans have the VA sending somebody to their home once or twice a week to help with things. If that's happening, that's a great proof right there. If you have been, somebody who helps you has been approved for the caregiver program, that's great proof. So all of that should go into the record if that exists. And if you're getting aid and attendance, the person should be getting caregiver benefits. The two go together.
Exactly. And so that's a wonderful point there. So we're talking about veterans. We're talking about the realm of Veterans Benefits Administration, the VBA, and what the caregiver program goes through is the VHA, the Veterans Hospital Administration. Okay. Those benefits are huge. The person gets paid by the hour. They actually get a decent amount of money. The A&A benefits are like $500 more a month or something like that. So that's not quite as much, but one helps prove the other.
A&A is more than that, but it's nothing like what you're going to get for caregiver, and you can get both.
Yeah, they don't offset. Yeah. Okay, Troy, I was granted 10% for tinnitus, but 0% for hearing loss. Can that be appealed? Can I appeal the hearing loss? Yes. Jody, hello. Which is better to connect OSA for sleep apnea, depression or tinnitus? I mean,
both. If you've got both, put them in there. And I would put all of the medical treatises in there. Just go on Google and you're going to find tons of them saying this is a complication of mental problems. This is a complication of tinnitus.
Heatwave did a claim for foot pain secondary to radiculopathy of the lower extremity, which is 10%. VA then just added radiculopathy of the lower extremity to include foot. Is that normal, or should it be separated? If it's all originating from one nerve, then that is normal. But they need to look and see how bad it is. I mean, if your foot's just numb or maybe burning a little bit, then yeah, 10% is probably correct. Okay. Brandon Farrell, filing a follow-up claim that includes original disability adjustment disorder with anxiety. How does the VA handle these claims? Are statements from family helpful? So
First
he's
of all,
filing
get rid of the adjustment disorder. Adjustment disorder is supposed to be a temporary thing. And a lot of times if you have depression, if you have PTSD, those aren't, the VA tries to put it adjustment disorder. Try to argue the depression, the anxiety, whatever that is. And don't say I have an adjustment disorder, just means things have changed and you're having difficulty adjusting to it. This is not what you're claiming. You're claiming ongoing depression, ongoing anxiety. So that's what I do first.
And they handle these claims just like any other mental health claim. Are statements from family helpful? Statements are always helpful. But again, it's the see, hear, smell, touch. It's not the, oh, he's a great man, he should get this, or, oh, I think he's so wonderful, or he's just so hurt. They got to be specific as to what's going on. And being a great person does nothing for your case. Okay. They need to show what is going on with you, what you look like in a day-to-day situation. And that is extremely helpful.
And please do not have them put their in there. Great guy is deserving of these benefits. That almost negates the statement. you want this person to say, before he went in the service, we played basketball, we went out every week, he came back, he stays in his house. When he gets around us, he blows up for no reason. What's happening? That's what you want these people to say. Okay. And I know friends don't want to say something negative about you. You need to tell them, you need to tell the truth. You need to tell them exactly how I am.
I found that ex-wives are the best statement writers for PTSD because they don't hold back. Well, if my migraines or sleep apnea get service connected, I'm looking at 100% plus 10% ratings plus 50% ratings. Does SMC-S and getting aid and attendance put me above SMCL? For SMCL, my understanding is if you show one disability is causing that, and you have all these other disabilities, you can get what's called a half step, Carol.
Yeah.
This is something special monthly compensation above SMCL gets so complicated that I read the regulation every single time I have one of those cases because it'll make your head spin.
So if you already have, let's say you have 100% you have an IU for 70% for PTSD. Okay, so you've got your 100%, and then you have knee problems that add up to knee and back problems that add up to 60%. So now you've got your SMC-S, and then you have aid and attendance. That's going to give your SMCL. So now if you had, for instance, the sleep apnea at 50%, that's going to give you, I think it's a half step, but you need other ratings that are 50 or 100% to give you steps up after that. Or you need things like loss of use of feet, loss of use of hands. It's very complicated. Or if you can show that you need aid and attendance, one for your physical problems and one for your mental problems, that can get you much farther up the ladder.
Yeah. Tara, is a favorable C&P exam considered more likely than not, or at least as likely as not? They use the language as least as likely as not.
At least as likely as not?
Yeah. So either one, you win. G-Man, hello, you both are great. I tune in every week. Thanks for that. When does Army National Guard service count towards VA disability? Both 2-week ATs I participated in were out of country.
But they both count. The question is, remember, you have a presumption of soundness when you are active duty full time. When you're in the Guard, you have to show it has to be during active duty, and they only accept things like accidents. You have a heart attack, if you fall and break your leg and have a problem, but if you have high blood pressure, they're not going to give you that because that's something that could have been developed all the time that you were not on active duty. Exactly. So while you're on active duty, what happens to you counts, but it has to be something that you can show that was directly related to that active duty period.
So it's an accident versus a disease process. So think diabetes, cancer, MS, Parkinson's. Those are all disease processes that are, take a long time to develop versus if you go on active duty, you sprain your ankle, you break your leg. Heart attack's an interesting one because heart attack, you could have the underlying cardiovascular problems. You could have COD or what do you call it, just ischemic heart disease or something that underlies that, and then you have a heart attack. So that's an interesting one. Was it what happened there, or is it what was going on all along? That's kind of more debatable, but it's the accident on active duty versus the underlying process of a disease. You don't get service connected for those, the underlying processes. Michael, post stem cell transplant went into acute kidney failure, UTI, and other residuals. As RM, I am remiss in not claiming future projections on anti-rejection meds, squamous cell on skin and claim. Am I remiss on not claiming future protection? So you claim for what happened to you, okay? And if at that time you had a diagnosis of that, then you should get service connected, but it'll probably be zero. And then if you do have these problems in the future, you already have a building block there. So you don't need to be remiss. I mean, you can still claim that, okay? It's not, there's no statute of limitations on when you can claim a disability. But I think you're smart. you don't have to claim it now. You can claim it on the future, but it would be one more thing you'd have to get service connected or show, because of the kidney problem. Now you have the, I guess you're saying cancer. So
if you have the diagnosis now, file a claim. If it's something you might get in the future, you don't have a current diagnosis, so you don't file the claim.
Yeah. Okay, Jose, I'm 70% have been prescribed ibuprofen. I took it for the last 20 years. It affected my kidneys. Can I try to get 100%? Yes.
Yes.
Susan Roberts, what are the costs of your service? Is there a number I can call? Is there an email I can reach out to you guys? Ephraim, would you throw that down below, please? The cost for our service, if we don't win any benefits, you don't know it's a thing. If we win, we charge 30% of any retro benefits, not any ongoing benefits. Typically, if we have to get an outside exam, an IME, we would front the cost of that, and we'd ask you to pay us back if we win. So, there aren't no costs up front. Let's put it that way. William Murray, 30% for PTSD have hypertension. Is that secondary? Yes. Also, just diagnosed with fibromyalgia, golf war bet, presumptive. Yes. Do I need more than a diagnosis and nexus letter? You don't need a nexus letter for the fibromyalgia. Probably do for the hypertension. James V asked, what is HLR? Hey, you guys throw more of these acronyms at me than we do. HLR is higher level review. It's a review you can get above the first. If you get a decision you disagree with, you can go get a higher level review, which is supposed to be a more seasoned adjudicator. You cannot add any more evidence, but you can argue why you think it's wrong. Those are, out of everything we see, those are the fastest decisions you're going to get.
And ask for a conference. That's making a big difference.
Oh, yes, definitely ask for a conference.
Because what I'm finding, if you file a higher level review and you don't ask for a conference, it sits there. It could sit there a year. But if you ask for a conference, they tend to schedule them right away. So it may be a month or two, but it's scheduled much quicker than you would get by not asking for it. That's the one time we do ask for a conference.
Yeah. All right. We're kind of winding down here. So we're going to answer a couple more. Michael had asked about the residuals with the kidney before, and he said, I'm in remission for a week after a 2-year fight, taking cancer meds till June of 23, focused on many residuals, graft versus host, etc. Although in remission always returns, work or not. So I'm gonna, I slept in a hotel last night so I can be a doctor. I'm gonna say that I would challenge the fact that you are in remission if you are still taking medicine for cancer for a year and a half. I don't care what the doctor says, but if that's what you're doing, they're clearly treating something, or they're trying to prevent something. So I think, you need to fight that, and that should be 100% rating right there.
Plus, I know I went with my sister-in-law to go through this. It's horrible. So I wonder if you've ended up with anxiety, depression. If you have, file that claim secondary to what happened to you. One of the things you can be doing is looking at other things this has caused you, and that would be one of them.
Okay. Let's see. Frank Army, do you know us? I know your specialty is disability. I need a competent USERRA lawyer. Do you know somebody who can recommend this in Illinois? I do not. I wouldn't know where to begin. I apologize, Frank. Call me God. I'm 100% P&T SMC-S. My doctor filled out a 2680 form for aid in attendance, already service connected at TBI at 100%. VA is making me go to C&P exams for TBI, PTSD, and seizures. Does this seem correct? Yeah, they have to say, because of these disabilities, it actually causes a higher need of standard.
All right. Did he say he's filed for SMCT?
He has not filed for that yet, but if you are filing for aid and attendance, I agree.
The VA is going to take an aid and attendance. They're not going to infer SMCT, even though they should. So file for that.
Okay, let's do a couple more of these here. Fast round. Got Combat Craig cleaning some stuff up for us. It's always a good thing. Lamona Hayes. I've been fighting my disability for service connection for. Oh, you cut off. Okay. Filed for secondary service connection for anxiety and depression. No exam required, waiting on decision. Is this a good sign if it goes through in time? It just depends on what your primary service connection was. I don't know. I mean, if it's one that the VA kind of internally presumptively says is service connected, then great. If it's not, then you could be fighting for an appeal there. Okay, let's see if I can grab some folks we haven't said before. USS Forbes, can my 90% be decreased due to doctors not taking me seriously? Unfortunately, it can be decreased due to anything. And so if your doctors are not taking you seriously and putting down stuff in your record, saying that, or not saying how bad you say it is, yeah, that could be a bad thing.
And you need another doctor.
Yeah. So let's see, we got Ron Doxwell. I'm so frustrated, returned from Iraq in 2009. I have degenerative disc disease, C5, C6 was worse than my lumbar degenerative disc disease. I claimed lower back, which was denied. I finally had an MRI that shows degenerative disc disease. Ron, I don't know what to tell you other than they're definitely fighting you quite a bit here. You need a lot of statements from buddies, and you need a good expert opinion showing why you should be service connected for this. You can win these claims, but I'm telling you, if you don't have a nexus, if you don't have a doctor, you're going to have a hard time. Hey, Combat Craig, while I'm thinking about it, we had a question here on someone who wanted to be an accredited agent. If you wouldn't mind writing a little bit about your experience with that. I know you have gone through quite a bit. Right. But so I'm sorry. I know Combat Craig is not accredited yet, but I know he's been going through it. And frankly, he speaks a lot about it and the problems. Somebody just said, what's it like? And we talked about folks in our office, and I know you have your thoughts on that as well. So if you're still here, that'd be great, because I know there were some questions.
Can I give a real quick plug, believe it or not, for the VA? I want to tell you, under this new administration, I have seen something that really makes me happy. For the last number of years, I would have veterans who would be granted benefits by the Board of Veterans Appeal, and then they would wait months and months and months before those veterans' benefits were given to them. And I'm talking about something where the BVA said, you are 100% as of September 1st, 2020, okay? And the BVA would let it sit there for months. I'm telling you, I get the BVA decision, usually the next day or the day after the rating decision is done, and now the money is paid within a week. So I give the VA a hard time, but I want you to know this administration is doing some things really right, and this is great for veterans. I mean, it's awful. If you're at the board, you've waited years, and it was worse to come back, get a benefit, and still have to wait 6 months or more. They have taken care of this problem, and I'm saying I am really thrilled. We got to give them credit for what they've done. So
She's giving them credit. She's giving them credit.
I'm giving credit.
They are doing some stuff right. I will admit that. I mean, here we talk about all things they're doing wrong, because there are a lot of things they're doing wrong.
Yeah, this administration is doing some really great things, and I'm throwing it out there.
Okay. Brian L. I reached 90% on my final push to 100. Thank you guys for the help. You're so welcome. Ernie, I've been 60% disabled since 1997 on my back.
Wow.
Ossifieds on L5 through S1 spine area. I've since presented with tremors for several years. VA says not Parkinson's. Could I get additional disability? Yeah, I'm assuming that's a lower extremity tremors, but I would say so. I mean, if you're getting service connected to your back, that's under the old code at 60%, but it sounds to me like that might have moved down into your legs and neuropathy. Carol.
Okay, here's where Matt and I may disagree a little bit, but I think whenever you have a problem that serious, you need to look at other things that problem may cause. Are you having a problem with incontinence? That is often a problem with these severe back problems. If you have a problem with voiding, you need to allege that. If you have a problem with depression and anxiety, you need to allege that. Aren't you having problems sleeping because of this? Could that have caused sleep apnea? I mean, the problem with the way the VA rates thing is like a back. There's no real 100% for most people for a back. You get built up toward 100% for the problems that the back problem causes. So whenever you have a problem like this, you should think about other things this back problem is causing you. And sometimes if you don't know yourself, ask somebody, ask a wife, ask a husband. They're quick to tell you the other things they have noticed it causing you.
Okay,
Could
so
be
let's
causing problems with your hips. I mean, your knees, things like that.
see a couple other folks. Brandon L. I finally got my sleep apnea back from higher level review and was awarded 50%. I have a couple bouts of AFib in the past couple of years. Can I claim that secondary? That secondary to sleep apnea. She's doing some medical research there. I think so, but let's see what she says. Jimmy, if your private doc who has once worked for the VA filled out a DBQ and the VA files a DBQ after C&P exam, that does not match the private rating, which has priority. So this is where the benefit of the doubt, this kind of, holy veil that's out there that nobody's ever seen. This is where that's supposed to come into play. If those are both equal, you got both are good docs, they filled out the form, they did what they, did the research, did the interview with you properly, and they came to different conclusions, then you should win. I rarely see that. Either they go with your doc or they don't, but
I've never seen that. Never. Okay, yes. If you have AFib and sleep apnea, yes, they're service connected, but they're related. But let me point out, if the VA doesn't deal with something like this often, and they don't, they're going to deny you. So this is where it's really important to go online, get all the medical reports, research that show the two together and send them in, okay? The VA examiner who examines you, C&P examiner, should respond to those. And if they can't find something contradictory, then they may agree with you and you win right away. But if you don't put in those reports, it makes your claim much harder.
All right, Frank, I'm a Vietnam vet, have bladder cancer, was denied. It is on the presumptive list. Will they go back to your original claim?
They should.
Yes, if you had an active disease process back then, yes. Larry Cummins, Hill and Ponton couldn't take my TDIU case, but handed me off to Jonathan Green, who got me 100%. Thanks for your help. Great. I'm glad to hear that. John's a good friend of ours, and I really believe he does great work. Michael, how do I send Combat Craig a new hat? That's beyond my ability there. Slick Racing, how do you go about proving medicine caused a condition that was service connected? That is a service connected condition. If you are on, so I'm assuming he's been prescribed medicine by a doctor at the VA. This would probably be what's called an 1151 claim. Basically, you're saying the VA did something that caused you to have a disability. What are the side effects of that? There was a gentleman before who had been on ibuprofen for 20 years and it blew out his kidneys. That's the kind of thing you're looking for, unfortunately. Carol, do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, because I wasn't really sure I understood the question.
How to go about proving medication caused a condition that is a service-connected condition.
But you're saying that is a service-connected condition. So is it already? Okay, so if you go about it, you show, what I would do is I would put into evidence all of those prescriptions, which are in your VA medical records, showing they were prescribed. Then you show the medical literature that shows what problems these cause, and then I put in the diagnosis showing you have those. That's what I do.
All right, let's see. We'll do two more.
One.
Helbert, I'm 100% P&T, been receiving it since 2013. Then all of a sudden I get slapped with a fiduciary.
How could you, what happened to have that? Something has to have happened for them to all of a sudden. Did you have another evaluation?
Yeah, I don't know. That's
and you
exactly.
Can fight that.
I'd write a letter saying nothing has changed. Here's what I did with our finances beforehand. Here's what I know about my finances now and what I knew then. That is bizarre. Unless you filed another claim for something. I don't know why.
Okay. You also want if your credit report is good, you want to send a copy of a credit report. You want if you're married or someone lives with you, you want a letter from them. And finally, ask the VA doctor or doctors treating you, say, this veteran is competent to handle his own funds. You need all three of those or four of those if you have a good credit report. And then they should put that back to you. You shouldn't have to have a fiduciary.
Right. Okay, this is always a good one to talk about. Ida Bullock, tomorrow I have my PTSD C&P exam. Any tips?
You know, I have tips.
That's
My
why
first
I'm
tip
giving it
is-
to you.
All right, my first tip is the worst thing you can do is go in there when they say, how you doing? You say, fine. That's the worst thing you can do. What you want to do is give them an example of how your life has been changed by this PTSD. And the best way is think of how you treated your family, your friends, people, and you wish you hadn't. And that's what you need to show them. You go in there, they ask you questions, you treat them like you treat your family. This is not the time to, for the first time, get out of your pajamas and dress up. This is not the first time when you not put on makeup for 2 years to put on makeup. Let them see you as you are living. If you can't do that, you're not going to win. And when they ask you, remember, when they ask you questions like, do you have friends? And you say, yes, that's not good, especially if your one friend lives in Africa and you talk to them once a year. Sorry, but that's not what they mean by friends. If you don't have friends because you can't stand to be around anybody, you need to tell them that. If you don't have friends because you get angry for no reason, that's what you tell them. Be very careful answering yes and no to questions. Most of the time, you need to let them know what's going on. And remember, if you say, yes, I have a friend, that's check, they're going on to something else, okay? Take the time and say, I wish I did have friends, but this is what happens. Don't rush through the answers. Make sure this person knows everything that you want them to know. And you might want to write yourself a list about things that happened to you. I went to the grocery store 3 years ago for the last time because I blew up at the cashier over nothing. So now I have my groceries delivered. I wait till the guy leaves them at the porch and then I go get them so I won't get in a fight. I stopped driving my car because I got in wrecks. I got so mad, or I pulled people over for cutting me off. Those are important things to point out because that's not what most people do. And if you point those things out, I think that's really going to help your exam. Matt?
I totally agree with all that. The only thing I would add, and I think Carol would agree with, is any statement you can get from a spouse, from whoever you come in contact on a daily or weekly basis. And again, it's got to be, don't show me in my best light or why you hang out with me, but what do you see? Am I a jerk? Am I unstable? Those are the kind of things that need to be written down. If you can get a letter like that, I think that's very strong evidence to take with you as well. Okay. That's all I got. That's all we got. I know we didn't get most questions, but again, please go to that community tab on our channel and ask your questions. And if you find somebody else wrote a question you want the answer to or liked, please hit a like there so we can pick those questions to start off with. We don't get to all the questions on here, and I'm sorry about that. But those help us kind of start off and see where people are, see what kind of general issues folks are still having. So thank you so much for joining us time, and we'll see you again next week.